Hey kids. Hey kids. So, have you ever been in a situation, I bet most you have, either in a video game or something else that you're working on. But have you ever been in a situation where you just feel like giving up, but don't, you don't see any progress, you don't see any real point in going on, you don't, or you're being made fun of for what you're doing, something like that. Well, we're gonna look at a story like that today. It's a different essay from how it starts off, but we're gonna look at something today that talks about that. If you want to turn me to Genesis 6:5, you can get a grown up do that for you. But Genesis is at the very beginning of the Bible. So kind of the very beginning of the Bible, verse 5. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every intent of the thoughts of his heart was on evil continually. So that basically means that just they were doing stuff they weren't supposed to do. They were being they were being bad. They weren't doing what the Lord, weren't doing what God, who always had our best interest in mind, remember. They weren't doing what he wanted them to do. They were they had turned their back on him. And the Lord was sorry that he made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So he was sorry that he did that. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I had created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. This is where our story takes an interesting turn. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Now give down to verse 13 forward continuing the story. And God said, No, the end of our fears has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence. For the earth is filled with violence, says then, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark, go forward, make room in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. So we get everything good so far. God told God told Noah to build this boat for a great fear that's happening. The problem was, and this isn't re-recorded anywhere. This is just what God was saying. God is a fancy word. People who really studies the Bible, like the history behind it, and everything history outside of the Bible. The problem was God was and Ayana God thinks this that it hadn't rained before. Either it hasn't one of the two goals aside, either it hadn't rain before, or that just never been an event like this. It certainly hasn't rained like we see it do now. But moving on here. Genesis 7. We see the flood. We see the flood starting. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I've seen that you're righteous before me in this generation. You shall take with you 7 each of every keen animal, a male and its female, the two of each animal that are keen, male and its female, although 7 each of both the male and female, to keep the face of the eye." Now, what I was getting at, we see God's faithfulness with the flood, told where he told Noah, "Okay, come into the ark and go into the big boat that I have prescribed you to prepare." But and this is another thing, the Bible doesn't give us exact detail on this either, but God thinks the whole construction of the boat took about 120 years. That's that's a long time. That's a long time of now Noah had the benefit now Noah kinda had the benefit of foresight here where God told him that hey this is gonna this is gonna this is gonna happen like I said would. But we don't always have that luxury. We don't always see the point in the diligence of Noah. And diligence is just a word that basically means keeping on. It just means to keep pouring yourself into it, keep doing what you're doing, basically. How about I explain that good? But yeah, we don't always see the point in seeing the diligence of Noah. But the good news is we have the ending. We have the ending of the story. Me to Genesis 8. They had already been on the ark for 40 days and 40 nights. They had been on the ark as the flood covered the earth. Picking up in verse 1. Then God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountain of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters receded from the earth. The water decreased. Then the ark and the water decreased continually till the 10 months, and the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the top of the mountain was seen. So it came to pass at the end of the 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. Then he sent out a raven which kept going to and fro till the water that dried up from the earth. He also sent out from himself a dove to see if the waters receded from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, as he returned into the ark to him. For the waters were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand. Now this is important too. This is something I just noticed. Speaking of the diligence of Noah, of his attitude of him just keeping on. See, if God wanted to, he could have just moved all the water from the earth immediately because he is God. But he did not. He allowed that natural processes and the natural process and the water to decrease by itself. Also, I'm betting maybe testing the diligence of Noah a little bit. Now, there was could go besides the ark. He couldn't go for a swim or anything that way. Just the water's still too high for that. But God will always give you an opportunity to show patience and show diligence and show your attitude attitude to him to uplift him in the right direction. God can remove all God can remove all the obstacles in your life if he wanted to. But he does want to see